So, let's start. Number 16. A world where metal becomes weather. WASP 76b lies about 640 light-years from Earth and orbits its star so closely that a full year lasts only 8 days. This extreme distance causes tidal locking, leaving one side in permanent daylight and the other in endless night. On the day side, temperatures rise to roughly 400 degrees Celsius, hot enough to vaporize iron. The metal does not melt, it turns into gas. Powerful winds then push that iron vapor across the planet toward the cooler night side. There, temperatures drop just enough for the iron to condense and fall as rain. Astronomers have detected these iron signatures moving through the atmosphere, confirming the process. Nothing here is symbolic or exaggerated. This planet behaves exactly as physics predicts. Just far beyond the narrow range where life can function. Number 15. A planet where ice survives extreme heat. Located around 32 light-years away, GJ 436b completes an orbit in only 6 days. Surface temperatures reach about 439 degrees Celsius. Conditions where water should instantly boil into vapor. Instead, gravity rewrites the rules. This world is far denser than Neptune, creating immense pressure deep within its structure. Under those conditions, water is compressed into a solid phase known as ice X. Heat alone is no longer enough to change its state. The material remains rigid, not because it is cold, but because pressure dominates temperature. Planetary models that match the observed mass and composition support this conclusion. GJ 436b demonstrates that familiar substances only behave familiarly within very specific limits. Number 14. The planet that swallows light. Trace 2b orbits its star every 5 days and sits roughly 750 light-years from Earth. What makes it unusual is not its speed, but its darkness. The planet reflects less than 1% of the light that reaches it, absorbing nearly everything instead. It is darker than coal and darker than any natural surface on Earth, yet this darkness does not mean cold. Temperatures approach 980 degrees Celsius, causing the planet to glow faintly from its own heat. Scientists believe chemicals in the atmosphere absorb incoming light before it can scatter back into space. Trace 2b shows that darkness is not emptiness, but a consequence of matter interacting with light in unforgiving ways. Number 13. A world where the sky turns hostile. HAT P7b is located about 100 light-years from Earth and completes an orbit around its star in just 2 days. The planet is intensely heated, with temperatures high enough to strip electrons from atoms, but its most extreme feature is not the heat. It is the weather. The atmosphere contains clouds made of corundum, the same mineral that forms rubies and sapphires on Earth. Supersonic winds, measured at several kilometers per second, drive these particles sideways across the planet, instead of falling gently. The material is blasted through the atmosphere at extreme speeds. Scientists have detected these conditions through changes in brightness as the planet orbits. On HAT P7b, the sky is not passive, it is an active, violent system shaped entirely by physics, indifferent to anything that might try to endure it. Number 12. A planet surrounded by a cosmic minefield. J1407b sits about 434 light-years from Earth and is often described as a supersized version of Saturn. The planet itself is massive, roughly 20 times the mass of Jupiter, and takes nearly a decade to complete one orbit around its star. But the real focus is not the planet, it is the ring system. These rings are enormous, stretching nearly 200 times wider than Saturn's. If this world replaced Saturn in our sky, its rings would appear larger than the full moon. Within that vast structure lies the real danger. The rings are dense, filled with debris ranging from dust to moon-sized objects. Astronomers observed this system when it briefly blocked its star's light, revealing its scale. Any spacecraft passing nearby would face a constant barrage of hidden material. Stability here is an illusion created by distance and scale. Number 11. A planet hotter than some stars. KLT9b lies roughly 670 light-years away and orbits an enormous blue star so closely that a full year lasts only about 5 days. The proximity creates surface temperatures near 300 degrees Celsius, hotter than many red dwarf stars. At this extreme, chemistry begins to fail. Molecules cannot stay intact, even simple compounds are torn apart. The planet is so hot that it is actively losing its atmosphere, leaving behind a glowing tail like a comet as material is stripped away. Scientists have observed this evaporation directly, detecting heavy elements escaping into space. On this world, heat does not merely burn, it dismantles matter itself. KLT9b exists at a boundary where planets begin to behave less like worlds and more like unstable extensions of their stars, shaped by energy levels that biology could never tolerate. Number 10. A beautiful world that shreds everything. HD 189733b is located about 63 light-years from Earth and, at first glance, looks deceptively familiar. The planet appears deep blue, almost like a calm ocean world. But that color does not come from water, it comes from silicate particles suspended in the atmosphere. In other words, the sky is filled with glass. This planet experiences some of the most violent weather ever measured. Winds reach speeds over 400 miles per hour. More than 7 times the speed of sound, these winds drive storms across the planet with incredible force. When precipitation occurs, it does not fall gently, molten glass rains sideways, carried by the supersonic flow. Scientists have confirmed these conditions through atmospheric observations. HD 189733b looks peaceful from a distance, but up close it is a reminder that beauty in the universe often hides environments that are fundamentally hostile. Number 9. A world made of carbon and pressure. 55 Cancri sits only about 41 light-years away and belongs to a class of planets known as super-Earths. It is roughly twice the size of our planet but has nearly 8 times the mass, giving it an extraordinary density. Based on its composition, scientists believe this world may be rich in carbon, possibly covered in graphite and even diamond, but its orbit tells a harsher story. A full year lasts just 18 hours, keeping the surface locked under extreme heat near 400 degrees Celsius. Lava likely dominates much of the landscape. Atmospheric pressure is estimated to be thousands of times stronger than Earth's. Any structure, solid or biological, would be crushed instantly. This planet is often described as unimaginably valuable, yet utterly unusable. It is a place where material abundance means nothing in the face of physics. Number 8. Worlds orbiting a stellar corpse. PSRB 1257 plus 12 lies about 300 light-years away and marks one of the strangest discoveries in astronomy. These planets do not orbit a normal star, they circle a pulsar, the dense, rapidly spinning core left behind after a massive star exploded. In fact, these were the first exoplanets ever confirmed. The pulsar rotates hundreds of times per second, sweeping space with intense beams of radiation like a cosmic lighthouse. The danger here is not heat or cold, but radiation. X-rays and high-energy particles flood the entire system. You would not need to land on any of these worlds to be affected. Simply entering the system would be enough to damage matter at a fundamental level. PSRB 1257 plus 12 shows that planets can survive stellar death, but only in environments where life has no place at all. Number 7. A cute color that hides crushing reality. GJ504b sits about 57 light-years from Earth and immediately stands out because of its appearance. The planet glows with a soft pink or magenta color, making it look almost gentle compared to the worlds before it. But this color comes from youth, not safety. It is a massive gas giant, roughly 4 times the mass of Jupiter, and still radiating heat left over from its formation. Temperatures remain around 237 degrees Celsius. There is no solid surface to land on. Any object descending into its atmosphere would sink deeper and deeper into thickening gas. With every kilometer, pressure increases until structure can no longer hold. Scientists observe this planet through direct imaging, confirming both its color and mass. GJ504b is a reminder that the universe does not warn you with obvious danger. Sometimes the most harmless-looking worlds are the least forgiving. Number 6. A planet being slowly torn apart. WASP-12b lies about 350 light-years from Earth and orbits its star at an extremely close distance, completing a full year in just 1 days. The gravitational pull from its star is so strong that the planet is no longer a perfect sphere. It has been stretched into an egg-like shape by tidal forces. These forces are actively stripping material away from the planet's atmosphere, pulling it into space. WASP-12b is also one of the darkest known worlds, absorbing roughly 94% of the light that reaches it. Scientists have observed a cloud of gas trailing behind it, clear evidence that the planet is slowly being consumed. This is not a sudden event, but a prolonged process of destruction. WASP-12b demonstrates that even entire planets are temporary structures when gravity begins to win. Number 5. A planet so light it barely holds together. Trace 4b is found about 600 light-years away and challenges what a planet is expected to be. It is enormous in size, measuring about 7 times the width of Jupiter, yet it has remarkably little mass. Its density is so low that scientists often compare it to materials like cork or balsa wood. In theory, if a container large enough existed, this planet could float. The reason lies in its structure. Trace 4b is a swollen gas giant, heated intensely by its nearby star, causing its atmosphere to puff outward. There is no solid surface anywhere. Any object entering the atmosphere would begin a long descent, falling deeper through layers of hot gas for thousands of miles. Heat and pressure would steadily increase until structure failed completely. Trace 4b shows that size alone does not equal strength or stability in the universe. Number 4. A world with 2 suns but no comfort. Kepler-16b is located about 245 light-years from Earth and is often compared to the fictional planet Tatooine because it orbits two stars instead of one. From a distance, the idea sounds dramatic and almost inviting. Two suns rise and set in the sky, casting overlapping light across the planet. But the reality is far less romantic. This world is a gas giant roughly the size of Saturn and it orbits far outside the habitable zone of its binary system. Surface temperatures drop to around -85 degrees Celsius. There is no warmth here, only deep cold, without heavy protection. Exposure would be brief. Astronomers confirmed this planet through precise measurements of its motion around both stars. Kepler-16b shows how science fiction often softens reality. Even when the universe delivers familiar imagery, it rarely delivers conditions that care whether life can endure them. Number 3, a planet drifting without a sun. PSOJ 318, 5-22 floats about 75 light-years away and belongs to a rare class of objects known as rogue planets. It does not orbit any star. Long ago, it was likely ejected from its original system and left to wander alone through interstellar space. Without a sun, there is no day, no night, and no sense of a year. Darkness is constant. Yet this world is not cold, it still glows with leftover heat from its formation, with temperatures reaching around 800 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt metal like aluminum. There is no surface to offer reference or stability, only endless atmosphere and isolation. Scientists confirmed its existence through direct imaging. Despite its lack of starlight, PSOJ 318, 5-22 reveals a universe filled with worlds that exist without rhythm, warmth, or context. Drifting quietly through the void. Number 2, a world where rock becomes weather. K2-141b is located about 202 light-years from Earth and completes an orbit around its star in just 6-7 hours. The planet is so close that one side is permanently exposed to extreme heat. With surface temperatures reaching nearly 3,000 degrees Celsius, at that level, rock does not stay solid, it melts into vast oceans of magma. The heat is intense enough to vaporize stone, sending it into the atmosphere as rock vapor. Powerful winds then carry these clouds toward the night side, where temperatures plunge to nearly -200 degrees Celsius. There, the vapor cools, condenses, and falls back down as solid material. It literally rains rock. Scientists have modeled this process based on the planet's temperature differences in orbital speed. K2-141b represents a place where even the ground is temporary, constantly recycled by forces far beyond anything life could tolerate. Number 1, a planet that may be a naked core. TOI 849b sits about 730 light-years from Earth and appears, at first, completely contradictory. It is roughly the size of Neptune, yet far denser than any gas giant should be. Astronomers believe this world may be the exposed core of a former giant planet, its thick atmosphere stripped away by its nearby star. A full orbit takes just 18 hours, keeping the planet locked under intense radiation. What remains is a massive, compact object composed largely of rock and metal, something that should not exist in this form. Scientists confirmed its density through precise measurements of mass and radius. TOI 849b may represent a planetary skeleton, a remnant left behind after everything lighter was torn away. It suggests that planets, like stars, can be partially destroyed and forced to continue existing in an unfinished state. If these worlds felt unsettling, that's because they are real, and they quietly remind us how fragile our place in the universe truly is. If you enjoy exploring ideas like this, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. More stories are waiting, just beyond what feels comfortable.